Legend lives on from the Chippewa on down of a big lake they call Gitchagumi. Legend is said never gives up her dead when the skies of November turn gloomy. That's about probably as much as I can do with that song before we infringe on copyright. But that is Gordon Lightfoot, The Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald. And this is my Thirsty Thursday video. My normal Thirsty Thursday Hawaiian shirt, there was something on it. I don't know where it came from. Apparently something spilled on it after it got washed the last time. So hopefully that'll wash out. But it's not my only Hawaiian shirt. I have the one I call Shere Khan because of the tiger on it. But anyway, there's a reason for that. The beer this week is Great Lakes Brewing Company Edmund Fitzgerald Porter. We had the flavored porter last time, which was somewhat disappointing, and we're going to see what this is like. Well, once again, this one is their 30th anniversary cap, so yes, we'll probably be saving that. Let's give it a little. Oh no, that smells like a porter. If you want to know, in my nose, upper level ales, porters and stouts, there's always like a back note of bread to the nose. All right, we're going to give it the first sip here. I've never had any of the. I've thought about getting Great Lakes Brewing Company beers before, but I've never pulled the trigger on one, and this is the first one. Let's take a look here. Brewed and bottled by the Great Lakes Brewing Company, Cleveland, Ohio. Doesn't say anything about the alcohol by volume, so I don't know. Might have it on the 6-pack, but here goes the first sip of this. Okay, yes, there's bitterness to it, but it's the kind of bitterness I like. There's deep flavor that comes in darker ales. Doesn't have the mouthfeel that I'm used to with porters. It's close. That could just be because it's in a bottle rather than a draft. That can have a lot of effect on the mouthfeel and the other thing. There's considerations for bottling beer that aren't when you put beer in a keg that aren't there. So. Very, very light chocolate and coffee notes. Roasted malt flavors. And a sharp but not unpleasant. You know, it's a good sharp bitterness. kind of sweet on the front end. And then their bitterness is on the back end. I think that is one of the reasons that back before they realized that the taste buds are mixed all over the tongue, when they used to falsely map the taste buds as sweet, salty, and bitter on the back, is because that's on the back is where you notice bitterness. It's not where the predominance of bitter taste buds are. It's just that bitterness takes time to feed into the cerebral cortex and be noticed, so by that time whatever it is you're consuming is to the back. There's just a tiny, what that sweetness is a tiny caramel flavor. I mean, not like biting into a caramel, but I think that comes from the roasted malt. I'm pretty sure that's how dark ales get their color, is from roasted malt. It doesn't feel in the mouth like it's got much more than 5% alcohol by volume, but I just don't see anything about, unless it's this gray on the black that I can't read in this amount of light. Let's see if we can add some light to it. I have a I'll tell you about this if you didn't know. You can put your camera on tight close-up and it acts like a magnifying glass for you. That's just the warning about alcohol if you're pregnant. And no. Robust and complex, our porter is a bittersweet tribute to the legendary freighter's fallen crew, taken too soon when the gales of November came early. For freshest taste, please enjoy by 10/27/18. Well, we're well ahead of that date, it only being August 10th. Is that right? Sorry, the 9th. But anyway, it's not by any stretch of the imagination my favorite porter ever. That would go to Tadcaster Porter. You know, because these are all beers I've never ever tasted before. So, and my Thirsty Thursdays. So unfortunately, I'll never be able to review Samuel Smith Tadcaster Porter. But believe me when I tell you that Guinness Stout is the stout that you will judge all other stouts by, and Tadcaster Porter is the one that you will judge all other porters by. And Newcastle will be the one that you judge probably all nut brown ales. too. Even though I think Newcastle Brown is, if I was going to rate those three beers that I just mentioned, Newcastle would be a 3.75 because I've had better browns. There's a brewery in Alaska. I'm trying to remember the name of the brewery, and as I say this, but anyway, they have I think it's just Alaskan Brewing Company, and it's just Alaskan Brewing Company Brown Ale, and for my taste, it's just a better brown ale than Newcastle, but it's only a 4 and Newcastle's a 3.75, so the difference is infinitesimal, and you might switch them around yourself in your taste, but I can recommend this, so that means it's at least a 3. It has a mouthfeel like an ale, though, not a porter. A good ale, you've got to like bitter, okay? It's got a sweet front and a bitter finish. But as I say, it's a amount of bitter that I personally don't find troublesome or bothersome. It's what's in the middle that I'm having trouble. It's kind of muddy in the middle, which will take it off of a full 4. Now this is my take on it. This might be absolutely disgusting to you. This might be ambrosia to you. With me, it's a decent beer. It's worth trying. I'm glad that I got it. I don't know if I'll ever buy it again, just because right now in my life I'm into trying different stuff every time. Not because, used to be, why does that keep, I'm sorry, distracted by something on the camera. If I was going to go on a camping trip and I wanted 6 beers in the cooler, this might have consideration, but until I try Bell's Porter, which I can't find here locally yet, haven't found here locally yet, but yeah, I'm going to go same as Newcastle, 3.75 for this. It's just a shade off of a 4. It's drinkable. It's enjoyable, but it doesn't have enough special about it. If I give something a 4, it's got to have something special about it. Oberon had something special about it. Oh, message. It's about my, from a friend, a message from a friend. Several years ago, every time went to this particular shoot in Kentucky, just a thumbs up. I just said thanks and he gave me a thumbs up. But this gentleman would show up, and I just took to him like a brother, faster than just about anybody else I've ever met. And he kept saying when he could get the money together, he was going to get a 14-quart Dutch oven because it was the one size he didn't have, and he had a couple of kids, and he would always, this one camp out, he did all the cooking for everybody in camp. And as a professional chef, let me just tell you, boy can cook, all right? And so when I got home, I went on Lodge Cast Iron's website, and I looked up the 14-inch Dutch oven, and I had just gotten a bonus from my job. Not a fantastic bonus, but it was a bonus big enough that I could get the 14-quart Dutch oven and the canvas cover for it, and I could have it sent anonymously to his house with the note, "For everything you do in camp." Well, I'd have never told him who sent him the Dutch oven, but on a forum that we both frequented at the time, he said, "Somebody has just floored me. Somebody sent me a 14-quart Lodge Logic cast iron Dutch oven with the feet. Exactly what I wanted, exactly what's been on my wish list, and they even included the cover for it, the carry cover. The you know, it's got a handle. That doesn't just, the Dutch oven just doesn't rest in it. It actually has a handle to carry it." And then he said, "So one of you better fess up." And somebody who, because of this, is now no longer a friend of either he nor I, took credit for it. And so the next post said, "I want to thank this guy for that Dutch oven." And then I called him, I had his phone number, and I said, "There's a letter for you in the coming in the mail with evidence that the person that said they got that for you lied." And I sent him a photocopy of the receipt that they sent me for the purchase, with my name and address on it, his name and address for where it was to be shipped. And he actually got the guy banned from that website for that, taking credit for something somebody else did. You know what? It's a hot day, and this being in my hands, this is warmed up a bit from the refrigerator. Don't drink this ice cold. It is actually better in the 45 to 50 degree range. Oh yeah. So at that temperature, it's definitely a 4.8 maybe. And the mouth feels improved, and it's less muddy in the middle. That's a good thing to know, I think. Not ice cold, but somewhere between 45 and 50. Wait a minute, there we go. I found it. I found it. I found the .0% alcohol by volume. I wonder what that code thing means. 371, or it might be 37 IBU. This might be something IB, whatever IB stands for, units, maybe. Anyway, so 6.0. So a little bit more potent than your, but yep, in the 50 degree range, in the 45 to 50 degree range, this is a 4. Ice cold, it's 3.5 to 3.75. I'm really glad I got off on a tangent and finished this a little bit warmer, because it was better. I'm going to have to keep that in mind. I might have to no, I won't do that. So I might have to get that chocolate peanut butter porter back and try it a little bit warmer. But it took me long enough to drink it that it was also this temperature by the time I finished it, and it didn't get any better. You could do a lot worse than that. You could buy that chocolate peanut butter porter from DeClaw. That will be in my... If I go into a place to buy some beer for a function, and that's the only darker ale I can find, I won't have a problem buying that. But I won't put it in the refrigerator. I'll wrap it in a wet towel on the back porch or something, because it definitely is better, a little warmer than we generally drink beer in this country, which is much more's the pity. I actually drank beer in England and was at first put off by the fact that it wasn't ice cold, but then I realized that there were things I could taste when it was warmer. Now, not warm, like I said, in the 45 to 55 degree range. That's not warm. It's just warm if you come from a country that believes beer should be ice cold. But yeah, definitely revisit some of the beers that you didn't quite care for, especially ales, and drink them at a slightly higher temperature and see how much they change. If you learn nothing from me in these Thirsty Thursdays, learn that the temperature of a beverage can change its character. There are notes you will get at warmer temperatures you will lose at colder ones. Part of the reason that most people drink most American beers ice cold is because that cold you can't taste all the negatives you'd taste if they were closer to room temperature. Let a Bud Dummer get about 50 degrees and take a sip of it and see if you don't spit it out. There's definitely a reason and can we please lobby can some beer makers lobby Congress, or can you call your congressman and tell them beer doesn't need to be pasteurized? It was pushed through by big beer companies because they brewed at a hotter temperature to brew faster, to produce more beer and produce an inferior product. Working man's beer's always been the cheapest beer you could get throughout history. One of the things about watch the history. I think there is a PBS special that's the history of beer. I think this is where I got this. But the Jews that built the pyramids, the slaves, had a daily beer ration. And it was not just beer, it was a carbohydrate-rich drink. It had nutritional value. So it was not just alcohol to alleviate misery, it was nutrition to build the body as well, provide the energy they needed to work. That's part of the somebody's having a live stream, and while I'm making a video, I can't watch a live stream. So, although I would have liked to have gone to that. So perhaps I will call this to an end. But anyway, yeah, a lot of times in the past, even in the military, we had daily. In World War II, if you were if you weren't on the front line, you had a daily beer ration. I don't know how much beer it was. I haven't looked that much into it. I just know that a lot of the Pacific Island Marine Corps bases, if you go to those today, you can dig up on the beaches. You go, and I don't know this from firsthand experience, somebody's told me this, but they were, they take their metal detector every place they go, and they go through beaches, and they dug up a 6-pack of beer that said U.S. Navy issue that was unopened. It had been buried down in the sand below the tide line, so it would get cold. And then they apparently had something come up and forgot about it. But I said, well, did you open it and drink it? And he said it was pretty badly corroded and I didn't think it would be safe. But I poked a hole in it, and the beer that came out wasn't discolored. Smelled a lot like Bud Dummer. And I looked at the cans and I said, no, might have smelled like Bud Dummer, but it was my old friend Stroh's Bohemian, which you can no longer get, I don't think. Of all the mass-produced beer, that one is perhaps, I think that just has, because it was a local beer where I grew up in Michigan, maybe that's what it is. To be quite honest, the first beer I ever drank, well, I think I said this in another video, but if you go camping in a big place, a big camping place like a KOA campground or a state park campground that gets a lot of people in it, padlock your beer cooler, because teenagers prowl the camp areas looking for unlocked coolers with beer in them. I know because I was a teenager and I did do this. And I'll be so frank as to say, among my friends, I was the one that thought of it. Because people that sit around campfires drinking beer don't count their beers. So if you take one or two out of their cooler, they will not be missed. So, yeah. Wow, I went a little long on this. Anyway, that'll end this Thirsty Thursday. Sorry it went so long. Got off on some tangents. But like I said, at ice cold, 3.75, slightly warmer, 45 to 55, a full-on 4. God bless and happy trails, and watch your top knot.